Alcatraz rose from freezing, shark-filled waters, its concrete fortress built to contain America's most dangerous criminals.
Known as the Rock, the island offered no rehabilitation, only isolation, control, and the promise of permanent confinement. Deep within that fortress, Cell Block D housed solitary prisoners, men separated from everyone and everything beyond steel. Even hardened convicts feared one particular cell, 14D, a lightless concrete chamber called the Hole. Late November fog swallowed the island. Pacific wind screamed through rusted gun galleries and empty corridors. Salt, damp stone, and decay filled the air, while darkness gathered around the abandoned cell house.
The National Park Rangers cleared out at sundown, and the lead ranger warned us about Block D. Keep the door propped open, because if that iron slider locks outside, nobody reaches us until 7.
Julian Vance, an investigative journalist from Los Angeles, arrived with Marcus, carrying recording equipment and rare overnight permission. They planned to document a declassified 19's incident involving a prisoner who died screaming inside 14D. Prisoner, glowing yellow eyes, shared his cell, watching him through the darkness.
By morning, guards found the prisoner strangled inside a locked, sealed steel box, despite nobody entering the corridor overnight. Guard logs showed no human entered the corridor, while the autopsy confirmed manual strangulation by human hands. Marcus remembered the ranger's warning, knowing the isolation block could become inaccessible before morning.
That's the legend, Marcus. In 1942, they stripped men naked in 14D and left them freezing. If the human mind fractures enough, does the nightmare stay behind? That's what we came here to investigate.
They entered Cell Block D, where the temperature suddenly dropped and their breath became thick white clouds. The unnatural cold felt different from November air outside, as though the concrete itself were exhaling winter. Julian and Marcus stopped before Cell 14D, facing its massive steel door and tiny observation slit. The door opened on grinding hinges, revealing a cramped concrete interior containing almost nothing except a hole in the floor.
Marcus placed his digital audio deck on a wooden crate outside, then threaded a cable into the cell.
EMF readings climbed sharply as Marcus watched the meter, its needle moving toward an impossible maximum.
The EMF meters are going crazy, Julian. The needle is pegged to maximum right now.
My name is Julian Vance. We are inside Cell 14D. Is the entity from 1942 still present? Silence answered first, broken only by condensation dripping steadily somewhere inside the concrete darkness of Cell 14D. Then Marcus's headphones erupted with deafening white noise, drowning the corridor beneath violent electronic static. A low, raspy voice emerged from the monitor, wet and intimate, speaking from somewhere beneath the interference. The recording continued playing through Marcus's headphones, while Julian remained surrounded by darkness inside the cell. Before Julian could move, the heavy iron door slammed shut with violent force, sealing him inside. The mechanical lock engaged from outside, leaving Julian alone in total darkness, while Marcus fought the door.
Something just spoke through the recorder, and it sounded right beside me. Marcus! The latch dropped! Pull the lever now! Something locked this door from the outside.
Marcus pulled against the rusted iron bar with all his strength, but the mechanism refused to move. He felt resistance beyond ordinary rust, as though something unseen were physically holding the locking track. Inside 14D, the temperature plunged below freezing, while Julian's flashlight died instantly, draining its batteries within seconds. Then two amber yellow eyes slowly opened in the upper corner of the ceiling, watching Julian. Without blinking, the eyes descended slowly, revealing no body, only a growing presence within the darkness surrounding him. Julian clawed desperately at his neck, while his boots scraped against the concrete floor, searching for unseen leverage.
I can't breathe. Something has its hand around my throat, but there's nothing there. The pressure is like an iron vise, and I can smell burning ash in here.
Only freezing air and the sulfuric smell of burning ash surrounded him inside the sealed cell. The amber eyes drifted closer until they hovered inches from Julian's face. In the darkness, a guttural whisper entered his skull without traveling through the air, carrying another prisoner's final memory.
Outside, Marcus heard Julian gasping and his body spotty striking the concrete walls in frantic, muffled impacts.
Marcus abandoned the locking mechanism and reached into their gear bag for a heavy steel crowbar. He jammed its flat edge between the doorframe and bolt, throwing his entire weight against ancient metal. He screamed for 12 hours and nobody came. Nobody will come for you either. He screamed for 12 hours. Nobody came. Nobody will come for you, Julian. Marcus heard movement far down Block D, beyond the sealed security gate, leading toward the central guard hub. Heavy combat boots echoed along the tier, followed by the unmistakable jingle of brass keys. The footsteps sounded like guards conducting nightly rounds, although every guard associated with that era was long dead. Shadows stretched across the overhead catwalk. Empty cell bars began shaking, one after another. Bang! 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 The entire block answered with a rhythm rising from somewhere beneath the stone. Marcus realized the entire cell house was waking around him, responding to something trapped inside 14D.
Julian! Hold on! I'm trying the crowbar! Won't budge! It won't budge! Something is holding the track, and I can't force it with my hands.
He reached into his pack and pulled out a high-intensity road flare meant for emergencies.
Marcus struck the striker against the cap, and crimson fire erupted with thick white smoke. The flare burned violently, flooding the corridor with crimson light and choking white smoke. Marcus shoved the burning flare through 14D's tiny observation slit, forcing its light into the darkness. The cell suddenly filled with crimson illumination, exposing concrete walls that seemed to recoil from the brightness. A piercing shriek tore through the steel door as the entity recoiled violently.
I'm putting the flare through the observation slit. Whatever's inside hates the light. Run! Don't stop for anything. Whatever is inside that cell is awake now.
The pressure around Julian's throat vanished instantly, dropping him onto his knees and leaving him gasping. Smoke filled his lungs as he dragged desperate breaths into his bruised, aching throat, barely remaining conscious.
Outside, the flare's intense heat reached the rusted locking pin through the tiny observation slit. Marcus wedged the crowbar into the weakened gap. He threw his entire body against the bolt.
Snap, snap. The ancient lock finally gave way.
For the first time, Marcus could see the entire cell clearly, and what he saw made him stop cold.
Marcus swept the flare across the cell, revealing deep scratches carved into the concrete walls. Some scratches were impossibly high, far above any man's reach, as if something had crawled across the walls. Then Marcus noticed something even worse. The scratches continued across the ceiling. Marcus followed the scratches with his eyes until they disappeared above the doorway, where the darkness seemed impossibly deep. Then the flare revealed one final detail, a small message carved beneath the oldest scratches. Marcus stared at the message, but Julian was staring at something behind him. Marcus finally turned around, and the flare revealed nothing there.
By morning, cell 14D was empty, but the words remained on the wall, waiting for the next person to enter.